Loyalty isn't inherited. Trust isn't guaranteed. And sometimes people you love the most are the ones plotting to destroy your life while you're sitting on the couch, thinking everything's fine. Today on rSpace, this father gets a rude awakening. Wife cheated and daughter supported her. I divorced her and cut them off financially. They both are broke. I, 59 male, have been married for 25 years to this woman, Shelley, 55 female. We have one daughter, Eliza, 19 female, who started college last year when Eliza was younger, preteens into her early teens. She and Shelley fought constantly. I mean constantly. Screaming matches over clothes, curfews, grades, and groundings. I played the role of mediator more times than I can count, trying to keep both sides calm. It was exhausting. I figured it was just typical mother-teen tension. I saw my friends and colleagues going through the same with their teenage daughters. Then, about a year ago, something changed. Almost overnight, the relationship went from fiery arguments to best friends, laughing together over private jokes, whispering in the kitchen, taking selfies. At first, I was relieved. I thought, finally, Eliza's matured. They're bonding. This is good. Over time, I started to notice something else. They shared everything with each other except me. I'd walk into the living room while they were chatting and suddenly the conversation would stop. Or Shelley would quickly lock her phone. When I'd asked what was so funny, it was always, "Oh, nothing, just something silly." Or would just shrug it off as an inside joke. It became normal for them to have their little side world that I wasn't a part of. It did make me feel like an outsider in my own family, but I didn't see it as sinister. Not then. Eventually, I did get suspicious, but not about the cheating or so. Nope, I honestly didn't think Shelley would cheat. If anything, I thought something was going on with Eliza. Maybe she was hiding a relationship she didn't want me to know about. Maybe she was struggling with her grades, or questioning her sexuality. I even wondered once if there was a pregnancy scare. Whatever it was, I figured Shelley knew and was helping her through it just without involving me. That stung a bit, but I told myself it was a mother-daughter thing. Fast forward to last week, Shelley's phone crashed. She sent that to the service center and logged into a spare one, which mostly remained idle after I upgraded. In the afternoon, we were lounging on the couch watching a game. She was busy on the phone, giggling and chatting. At one point, she laughed out loud. I asked her who she was talking to. She said it was Eliza talking about her weird classmate. After a while, the spare phone discharged and got switched off abruptly. She plugged it in to charge it and went for a shower. Something in me snapped and I switched on the phone hoping she hadn't changed the password. My intention wasn't snooping at all, just wanted to be sure that there was nothing wrong going on behind my back. Maybe find out their cute little secret to tease them about. I straight away opened WhatsApp, scrolled past all the other chats and opened the one with Eliza. That's where I thought I'd find whatever secret they'd been keeping. What I found instead shook my existence. The most recent message was them discussing the trip they had planned for the following day. Eliza was teasing Shelley about how he was gearing up for the same, that he piqued my curiosity. Initially, I thought she was talking about her boyfriend, but when I scrolled above, the chat told a different story. Eliza had set her mother up with one of her professors. I thought I'd misread it, but there it was, in plain words. Eliza teasing Shelley about how, "I told you he's charming." Shelley saying, "I didn't expect him to be so sweet." Then photos from the restaurant. Shelley wearing that black dress I bought her years ago, the one she never once wore for me. The conversation went back over a year, right to the time Eliza had been promoted to sophomore year. Shelley had visited her at college during that period. I remember it. She'd said she wanted to help Eliza settle in and check on her classes. Over the next few weeks of chat history, the friendly meetings turned into dates, then into sleepovers. And all of that was coordinated by Eliza. She helped Shelley come up with excuses, lied to me about where they were, and even covered for her on weekends. And you know what else? The professor had helped Eliza with her grades, gave her extra credit, and bumped her rank in class in exchange for hooking up with Shelley. And they joked about it being worth the trade. I couldn't stop there. I opened chats with the affair partner. I wish I hadn't. It was like walking into a room I had no business seeing, except it was my marriage, so I dang well had the right. They were constantly sexting, exchanging photos, videos, and explicit fantasies. He called her his girl. Her telling him she wished they'd met years ago. They planned trips, talking about their bed moves, making the little lists of things they'd do when Eliza was done with school. The intimacy wasn't just physical. There was emotional investment. They talked about life plans. She confided in him about things she'd never said to me in 25 years. My stomach turned. My hands went cold. I could feel my pulse in my ears. Eliza was due to come home the next day to pick up Shelley for the girls' trip, but the chats showed the real plan. Eliza was bringing her boyfriend, Shelley was going with the affair partner, and they'd all meet up somewhere together. It was all laid out casually. I double-checked Eliza's number to be sure it was really hers. For a split second, I thought Shelley had saved her friend's number with Eliza's name to avoid suspicion. Dang, no. It was my daughter, my real blood, planning the betrayal. I took pictures of all the chats into my phone. That was the only feasible method to collect it. Screenshots of chat of 2 years would take a day. I had max of 15 minutes. I made copies of the evidence and kept the backup at multiple places to avoid losing them. In my mind, I already knew my fate. I remained in my study until late and dozed off on that couch. The idea of sleeping next to that whore trembled me. The next afternoon, Eliza arrived. She looked cheerful, like nothing was wrong. Shelley was already packed. I told them both to sit down. I don't know if it was in my voice or the vibe, but the air in the room felt heavier. Shelley tried to read my face. Eliza sighed dramatically and sat down as if I had just ruined her day. I stood in front of them for a few seconds, had no clue how to start. They both fidgeted. I fumbled. I know everything. I've read the messages, all of them. Shelley froze instantly. It was like her brain short-circuited. She blinked once, twice, then turned toward Eliza with a look that said, "Fix this now." Eliza frowned at me. "Messages? What messages?" Her voice had that fake confused edge to it, the same tone she used when she was 12 and I caught her sneaking out. I said flatly, "Don't play dumb. Your chat's with your mom, with her friend." I almost spat that last word out. Eliza shifted in her seat. "Okay, first of all, you're clearly overreacting. Second, I have no idea what you think you saw." I cut in. "I saw everything. Your little matchmaking operation. The weekend trips, the so-called study help from your professor. And yes, I saw the pictures. Don't insult me by pretending it didn't happen." She rolled her eyes but glanced at her mom, who was still sitting rigidly, jaw tight. "Dad, you're blowing this way out of proportion. This isn't..." I screamed. "Out of proportion? You conspired with your mother and helped her cheat on me, lied to me for over a year, helped her sneak away to meet him, and you want to tell me I'm overreacting?" God dang. Instead of accepting her mistakes, she got annoyed, gave her mother the look of, "Why couldn't you keep this a secret?" and then yelled back at me, "You act like you've been betrayed by me. This isn't about you." I stared at her in disbelief. "Not about me? This is my wife. This is my marriage, and you think it's not about me?" I looked at Shelley for answers, who was sitting there with teary eyes. I called her out and asked her for an explanation. She mumbled, "I got carried away. He made me feel special." Broke down and behaved as if she was the poor victim. Eliza sighed and said, "Dad, look, Mom's been taking care of us forever. She sacrificed so much. She's been, I don't know, stuck. This made her happy. She deserves that." I laughed at this because I couldn't believe I was hearing this. She deserved to betray her husband and sneak around with your professor? She reiterated, "She deserves some fun and happiness, Dad. She's been doing so much for you and me her whole life. Let her have this." I took a step closer. "Do you even realize what you've done? You've ruined my marriage." She shrugged, like I had just told her it was going to rain. "You'll get over it. Mom's happy. That's what matters." I opened my mouth to respond, but she was already on her feet, pulling Shelley's hand. "Let's go. We'll deal with it when we're back." They picked up their bags and walked out, and just like that, they were gone. After they left, I sat on the couch for a long time. I don't know how long, hours maybe, just staring at the open door. There was this hollow, buzzing feeling in my chest. 25 years of flashback came in front of me. About our wedding day, the vacations we took with Eliza as a kid, the nights we stayed up late talking. And I kept asking myself, when did I become so disposable to them? I don't know if I have a wife and daughter anymore. All I know is I don't have the same life again. At some point, my brain stopped replaying their faces and started doing math. If there's nothing left to wait for, why am I waiting? I stood up, picked up my keys, wallet, and the evidence of my failed marriage and drove to my lawyer's building on autopilot, on pure muscle memory because I was somewhere else, still reeling from that conversation. He saw me and immediately understood I was distressed. He has helped me for years with my business contracts, for drafting my will, property docs, boring adult stuff you only appreciate when you need it. He asked me to make myself comfortable, have coffee while he finished his important tasks lined up for the day. I sat in the lobby for what felt like a lifetime. I didn't mind. Sitting there was better than going home to that silence. The receptionist kept asking if I wanted water, and I kept saying no. Maybe my anxiety was obvious on my face. When I finally got to talk to him, I narrated everything, showed him all the evidence I could gather and also the morning confession by Eliza. When I finished, we talked about options. Divorce is obvious, yes, but it wasn't a switch you flip. There are timelines, disclosures, money realities. Shelly doesn't work. Spousal support is a thing whether I like it or not. Eliza's 19, so I could get away with no child support. That's a good thing. Emotionally, I wanted to vanish. Legally, that's a mess. He said, if you disappear, you risk abandonment issues and sanctions. You'll weaken your own position. He let that hang. So what's next? He gave me a step-by-step plan. I'm going to lay out exactly what those words looked like for me, not as advice to anyone. Laws differ, circumstances differ, but as the road I walked with a professional adult in the room telling me where the cliffs were. I didn't invent anything here. I followed a path with my lawyer's hand flat on the map. Step 1. Put the proof in safe hands. I handed him a USB with every photo and video I had time to pull. I also forwarded cloud backups to an encrypted link he controls. If that sentence sounds clinical, it's because I forced it to be. The temptation to spiral, rereading, zooming, punching holes in walls was strong. He took the evidence off me like taking matches from a kid. He said, chain of custody matters. You have it, I have it. That's enough. Step 2. Do not pick fights. He was blunt. Anything you text in anger is a breadcrumb she can use. No ad hoc confrontation, threats, or gotchas. We go quiet and careful. That suited me. I didn't have words left anyway. Step 3. Keep the household functional but impersonal. Eat, sleep somewhere you can sleep, shower. Don't turn the house into a war zone. That night, I moved to the guest room. Step 4. Start a paper trail for normal expenses. He told me to keep receipts for groceries, utilities, any bill I paid. Not because I was building a case against her day-to-day spending, because courts like clean stories, like organized paperwork, not trust me, Your Honor. Step 5. I changed my personal passwords. Not the joint ones, just my email, my cloud backups, the places where my financial statements land. I turned on two-factor for the accounts that were mine alone. Freeze the new debt risk. He had me call the bank and put a note on the account to alert for unusual activity and to require 2 signatures for any limit increases. My business interests and personal savings were in my name, and we started planning for how they'd be disclosed and divided under the law if needed. She's now back from her vacation and there's more to it, but I'll save it for my next update, if at all people are interested in reading. Honestly, I don't even know how you process something like that. Your own daughter helping you set your wife up with someone else? What? And Shelly acting like it's all about her deserving happiness, while completely ignoring what she built with you. Oof. Plotting excuses, covering up weekends, treating her father like he's invisible? They actively conspired to erase you from your own family. Shelly and Eliza have proven they're a team, and you're not on it. Update 1. Thanks for engaging on my post. Here's what happened next. When she came back from her vacation, she saw I had moved to the guest room. She paused in the hallway, but didn't knock. We lived in the house like strangers, without talking and avoiding eye contact. If there's anything absolutely necessary, like running errands, we text. Eliza came by twice. The second time, she stood in the doorway of the guest room like she had rights there and asked, "Are we going to be weird forever?" I looked at her and said nothing. Silence is a scalpel when you can't afford a sledgehammer. She huffed, "You're being dramatic." I closed my laptop and turned away. She left. On my lawyer's advice, I started pulling out money from the joint account. After the third small transfer, Shelly texted, "Where's the money going?" I typed, "Bought something for myself." She didn't press. Maybe she didn't want to know. Maybe she thought it was a watch or a toy. I wanted to secure everything from ours to me. And yes, before someone jumps in, my lawyer knew every dollar that moved and how it would read on a ledger later. The business was my one complicated asset. I'd built it. It fed us. We started this valuation process. There's a way these things are done, and we did it over weeks, not hours. This isn't a movie montage. I stepped back from day to day and drafted an exit that gave me my fair share, without setting the building on fire. The proceeds didn't go under the mattress. They went into a structure my lawyer set up for estate planning that I'll only describe this way. It's lawful and transparent. I also did the boring, unglamorous stuff. Updated beneficiaries where appropriate, revoked old powers of attorney that no longer made sense, and left every signature line squeaky clean. These are the parts of divorce no one writes about because there's nothing juicy to see, but it's the spine. The rest of it hangs on this. Next came the house. He explained the 2 usual paths, sell and split, or one party buys the other out based on an appraisal. I had no appetite for living inside that set of walls anymore. He said, "Don't decide today. Let the numbers talk when it's ready." So we ordered an appraisal and stuck it on the timeline. When all of it was done, we started the process. We didn't file the next day. We finished our homework first, secured the evidence, and documented everything. While all that quietly lined up, I lived in an empty soul in my own living room. When my lawyer said, "We're ready," I signed what needed signing. He said, "You don't have to be the messenger. That's my job." I nodded. He would serve her. I told him that I want to disappear. He replied, "You can travel. You can live wherever you like, but don't confuse distance with disappearing. You need to be reachable for the process. You need to show up on paper, even if you don't want to show up in person. Be present to the law and absent to the drama." That's what I've done. I am present to the law and absent from the drama. There's a version of me that wanted to empty the closet out of spite. That version doesn't get to drive anymore. I packed light, documents, a few clothes, the laptop, a few books, and flew to Europe because you can't walk a mile in your own town and not trip over a memory every 30 feet. You can walk a mile here in Europe and all you trip over is a cobblestone and your own thoughts. My phone was the one indulgence. I kept it until I landed overseas, then turned it into a rectangle that only knows Wi-Fi and streaming music. I gave my lawyer my new contact method for legal matters. He has my itinerary, my hotel contacts, a scan of my passport for filings, and a standard instruction that if a signature needs a hand, he'll tell me where to place mine. I checked my email on hotel Wi-Fi. One note from my lawyer, served. That was it. Clean word. The second day, another email. She'd tried to call his office 3 times in an hour. She wants to talk. I told her communication will go through counsel. I closed the laptop and kept going. My lawyer informed me that she's confused by the calm in the paperwork. Asked about the bank accounts. He pointed to the statements. She asked what I intend. He said, "My client intends to proceed." That's it. Eliza also made an entitled call to my lawyer asking for my contacts, saying we would figure this out as a family. He replied with a one-liner, "Please direct legal communications through counsel." They don't know where I am, and not in some cloak and dagger way. I'm living and letting the process work. He knows how to reach me. That's enough. Rest, everyone. Get the silence they deserve. Update 2. So it's finally over. The house has been sold. It took months of paperwork, arguments over pricing, and endless passive-aggressive emails from Shelley's lawyer, but in the end, it sold. The money was split evenly, as per the divorce agreement. Shelley moved into a small 2-bedroom apartment not far from Eliza's old college campus. She had no more safety net, no more comfortable suburban home with me footing the bills. She took up a job at a local retail store, something far beneath what she imagined for herself, but it was either that or face the reality of not being able to pay rent. Eliza's situation got messier. When the new semester started, she emailed my lawyer, practically demanding that I keep paying her tuition. He reminded her that I wasn't legally obligated anymore. I had supported her up till then, but after what she did, I couldn't justify drawing my savings for her anymore. She turned on Shelley next. I know this because Eliza actually stormed into my lawyer's office asking for my whereabouts. Because of the bond we share, he sat her down and asked, "What's the matter?" She broke down and told him about how her mom was being selfish. Apparently, she had begged Shelley to use her half of the house money to cover tuition, promising she'd pay her back once she graduated and got a real job. But Shelley, in her usual self-preservation mode, shut her down flat. Told her that money was for her security, that she couldn't touch it because she didn't know what the future held. Eliza lost it. From what I gathered, there was a screaming match between the two of them in that cramped apartment, with Eliza calling her a useless mother who ruined her life, and Shelley firing back that Eliza had ruined hers by dragging her into that twisted affair in the first place. The same daughter who once defended her so fiercely was now blaming her for everything. Without any tuition money, Eliza had to drop out of college. Obviously, she's bitter at me for cutting her off, but she's also furious at her mother for not supporting her. Oh yes, I forgot to mention affair partner in the last post. So my lawyer informed the college about Eliza's professor, how he had used the students to line up his affair, exploiting them to fund his lust. Had it just been an affair, it wouldn't have been a big deal, but he actually bumped her rank in exchange for her mother's favors. That made it extreme. With the screenshots and evidence, the college had no choice. They launched an inquiry, and the professor was sacked. His career was destroyed, his reputation was ruined, and his wife left him too. So now, Shelley is stuck in a dead-end job, clutching on her half of the house money like it's the only life raft she has left. A lot of you commented asking me to get a a test. I'm not playing that game. She looks like me. Even if she's mine, who cares? I have mentally disowned her, and my will reflects the same. She's 19. Legally, financially, my obligations are done. Emotionally, she chose her team. That's a kind of result you don't appeal. Will time soften this? I don't know. Today, I live like we're strangers. Right now, my life fits into a suitcase and a few folders. I've almost covered most of Europe. Planning to explore Asia and parts of Africa soon. This is my life now. If I ever run out of money and need a roof, I have an ancestral house on the other side of the ocean. I have a lawyer who has my back. They called my hurt not about you. So I made a life where, finally, nothing is about them. Eliza losing college because of her own schemes backfiring, honestly, it's hard not to sit back and admire how neatly it all played out. The professor finally got what he deserved. Exploiting students for fling and career perks? That's a career-ending mistake that we love to see. Living out of a suitcase in Europe. Exploring the world, free from their drama. Honestly, that sounds like the dream version of revenge. Not loud, not messy, just calm, clean, and utterly unbothered. You're moving on in style. Shelley and Eliza can stew in the mess they made. You've got a whole world to enjoy while they figure out how badly they screwed up. Has anyone ever had a family member completely betray their trust? How did you handle it? And thank you for joining us today on rSpace. Be sure to like and subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on our next video. See you next time.